Today I'm going to be going over how to actually remove your clutch. Last video I showed how to remove the transmission, so this is just a continuation from there. The first thing I'd like to do is grab some water or some brake fluid or whatever and soak the entire clutch and flywheel and whatnot down, just so that if there's any dust or whatever, clutch dust or whatever the hell it's called, that doesn't fly out at us when we're actually working on it, just because that's actually pretty bad for you. Now if you're planning on reusing your clutch or something, don't use, what's it called, brake fluid though. That's probably bad for it. So yeah, but other than that, let's soak this down real quick, and yeah, just look at how dirty that is. So yeah, do that and then we'll move on from there. So once you've got that all soaked down, what we're going to do is we're going to remove these 6 bolts. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We're going to remove those 6, and this should pop off, and so should the plate. These guys aren't too heavy. They're about like 10-15ish pounds, but yeah, stay woke for them. They do fall off. Now just take a good look at how it's oriented, and so you do know when you're plugging it in. This is a reference, actually it's for myself, but you know, in case you need it too. I was changing the clutch, or actually open up the bolts. I actually noticed that this entire thing with the flywheel and basically the entire blocks are rotating. If this starts rotating, you can put your hand here and wrench on that side or something of that sort, or jam like, I don't know, a flathead or something just to keep this from moving. It's not that big a deal. With all 6 bolts removed, shove your fingers in and pry at it, because that's pretty much all you gotta do. Maybe your fingers might not be enough, so use a flathead or something to pry at it. Get the tool apart basically. I'm bringing in a new flywheel, so I don't really care, but basically you can be careful if you're doing it, if you're keeping the flywheel. But since I'm not, I can just plug it in and kind of like twist, and it's coming apart. Do that all around, and it'll come out. I just pulled it basically off, and that's all you really have to do to get the flywheel out, and you can access the flywheel. So let's take a look at my clutch over here. You can look at the plate, and it's basically all worn down. It's basically down to the rivets over here. And this plate wasn't really holding at all, and this is exactly why. Because there's like no groove left. It's down flat, and yeah, so that's why mine wasn't working, and that's what I'm going to be replacing. But now on to how to remove the flywheel. To remove these bolts, they're 14 millimeters. Some people say you shouldn't use impacts. Sure, I don't know. I don't really care, so I'm going to use an impact. But yeah, basically unbolt this in a cross pattern. You have to put it back in that way too, but what's it called? Yeah, unbolt it that way, and be careful because this one is heavy. This one's like 20, 25, 30-ish pounds. This one's, actually it's like 20 pounds, but it's pretty heavy. It's much heavier than the pressure plate, so stay woke for that. With those bolts removed, same story as the other one. Just pry at it, pull at it. This one's heavy, so keep that in mind. Another thing to remember when reinstalling the flywheel, try not to use those bolts again. I think you can use these, but some of them are what's called torque to yield, so they get longer as they're tightened, and they're not meant to be reused. But if you do, just remember that you're supposed to use red Loctite. Other than that, yeah, so I'm gonna go drop this, and that should be about it for removing it. So there's my flywheel removed. You can see that there's discoloration all over the place. So this flywheel is definitely not coming back on. You can even see here. I guess you could get a resurface, but I mean, I have a new one, so who cares? But yeah, I couldn't really carry that weight from this awkward angle, so I did fall, but it doesn't matter, I'm reusing it. Other than that, just make sure, what's it called, you clear out everything. When you're installing the new one, make this all look nice and stuff while you're here anyway. And that's how to remove the clutch on it. Installation of the clutch and flywheel is basically the opposite of removal, so shouldn't be too bad.